Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to our second Facilitator Q&A for Talent Brand Summit. And today I have with me my co-organizer, Brian Cheney, and then one of our facilitators, Audra Knight. Now, my doctor tells me I have an acute bronchitis, but it is not very cute. So to avoid me coughing in everybody's faces during this video, I'm gonna let Brian take it from here. Go for Brian.
I still think your bronchitis is pretty cute. I just
want I'm gonna mute myself.
Oh dear.
Thanks for that, Will. So hopefully you feel better soon. And I can see you're in your Proactive Talent office. I'm in my illustrious home office, and I'm so excited to welcome Audra. You know, the event is coming up in June 13th and 14th, and it's going to be unlike any other conference or event that I've been to, and I know that a lot of other people have been to as well. So we went back and we talked about what are the things that get us excited about learning and about the community, specifically the growing Talent Brand Alliance community, and we thought, okay, the best thing to do would be to get everybody together in a room to learn from each other and build those connections. And Audra, you were right at the top of the list of people that we thought could bring not only the knowledge of what you have done, but also a little bit of rock and roll style to the event. So welcome so much, Audra.
Awesome. Thank you both for having me. I'm super excited. I can't wait.
So Audra, not everybody might know your path. I'm very familiar because I've been a fan of yours for at least for a couple minutes, and I want to kind of help people understand what do you do in your current role, and how did you kind of get on the path to employer and talent branding? Sure.
I think everyone's is always a little unusual or different, or they fell into it, and mine was similar. I was actually in a union role, which I was not a big fan of. And I knew I was going to be laid off soon because it was one of those like last in, first out. So I knew I had a matter of so long to get another job. And so I took a job as a executive assistant to a CHRO. And I had no experience being an executive assistant. I didn't know anything about HR or recruitment, but the guy just saw something in me. I remember in the interview I went in and he said like, "Hi, nice to meet you." And I said, "I am totally underemployed and I need your help to fix it." And he just thought that was cool, and he just thought there was something to do with me. So that was an awesome start, because I got to see really the bigger picture of HR, recruitment from the top, like what matters, what teams do what, and also what executives care about. So that was an awesome start. And then I got into this specifically employment branding because I kept seeing these invoices from our agency, and it was like $60,000 to a job board that some people might know of, and just tons of money. And I was like, well, who's paying attention to this? What are the metrics? And like, why are we spending this much here versus here? And nobody was owning it at all. They were just like giving it to the agency, here's the money, do what you want. And another thing was we had a Facebook page we were paying for that was completely empty. So just weird things. And I said, someone needs to be the contact with his agency and own this. And so I still did my current role, but I did that on the side. And I just kept doing it so much so that it actually became a role. And I just pitched like, look, you need me to do this role. So I kind of made my own job that way, and it worked out really well. And I went over to the vendor side a little bit shortly with a fantastic company called CareerArc, but I missed really being a practitioner. So in the end, I did move back to where I'm at now, which is Tenable. I started in recruitment marketing specifically for them. But I moved up now to a sort of a recruitment operations management position, which is cool because I'm learning all sorts of other things too. But so now I have someone else on my team, Ashley Bush, who's doing our social media. And together we're kind of a team that does the employment branding strategy. So that's been really good working with her. And she's coming to this event, which I'm so thrilled about, because together, we can work on our own strategy, like you said, learn as much from the other people versus also sharing the stuff that we're doing.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you created your own role, because all three of us actually on this call, in this video have created our own roles to get into the space, because we've seen the need. Much like yourself, I saw a need back when I was at agency, and I was like, hey, we need to be doing this. We should be focusing on this. And the agency was like, but that's not recruiting. And I'm like, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So, I love that bit of your history and kind of the ambition to create, kind of build your own role from scratch. So, so when you went down that path, and you started poking holes in the things that were that you saw, what was their reaction? Like, did people fight it, or were they kind of like, oh wow, we haven't even thought we should be asking those questions?
Well, the agency wasn't thrilled because they had just been kind of left alone to do what they want. But in some ways it worked out too, because I could be a partner with them and talk about like more internal stuff and the culture. But they weren't a super fan because they had just kind of left their own. And in the end, we did, in the long run, after about a year or so, we ended up dropping the agency. So they definitely weren't thrilled, but it made more sense for us to do it more internally. It was good.
Yeah, and so I personally am a fan of agencies when they're good stewards of their clients. So when they're doing the things that the client needs, not that just the things that they want to do, but the things that actually produce results. And if they're working lockstep with the client, then that's an amazing, definitely a symbiotic relationship there. Now, this event is obviously a little different. So like you said, people are learning from each other. You're going to step up and you're going to have all of the knowledge ever about personal branding and development, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the plan. For my session, I'm going to talk about a couple of different things. For our role, it's really unusual because you have to be a marketer, but you also have to know recruitment, which I think usually it's kind of one or the other, a bit more weighed. But also you have to be really creative, really innovative, but you have to be really data-driven, which I feel like is a skill set that they don't always match. I know for me, I'm definitely more creative and innovative. So I'm going to talk about ways to kind of balance that out, different resources and some external resources, whatever you need to balance that out to make sure you have this whole big picture. But then I'm also going to talk about personal branding, like you've said, and we're going to hopefully do like a whole audit about what's actually out there and talk about our own brands, because we talk so much about our company's brand, which is fantastic, but sometimes we don't think about our own brand and what's really out there and what's our story that we want to be sharing, and is that reflected in our online presence. And one great example is if you go ahead and Google your name, a lot of people don't realize they do it in incognito mode to see actually what other people are seeing. So we're just going to start from there, see what's out there, and then anything else that people are going to. It's going to be very interactive. People are going to work what works for them, what doesn't work for them. So it's going to definitely be more of a workshop, like you said, than not just me talking about what works.
Yeah, and that's the whole theory behind the community, right? What are you excited to learn from other people?
Ooh, well, there's so many different sessions, so that's going to be really interesting. I'm excited that together, Ashley and I are going to go to each session together and really take back, our strategy. And also the last session, I believe, I think maybe both of you are running it. That's like kind of finalize your strategy. That one's going to be really big for me, I think, and Ashley. So together, I'm hoping we're going to learn just little bits and pieces from everyone, not just the speakers, like you said, but all the attendees. I love like the best practices, but also how people have failed. I definitely want to share ways that I've done things and that was just a mess, that didn't work. The more we look at both sides, I think it's going to be really valuable to my team as well as me personally.
Yeah, we're gonna walk in and we're gonna have a trust room for sure. Everything is what happens at Talent Brand Summit stays at Talent Brand Summit, so that everybody understands they can share. That's the whole point of coming to the event, bringing that information to share what worked, what didn't, and then and really kind of letting that guard down. And as you mentioned, the last session, the last roundtable is actually everybody. So all the facilitators are going to be, we're all going to be working together to bring that knowledge and close that loop, because that's what's missing a lot of times from, hey Max, that's what's missing a lot of times from Max looks super happy.
Yes.
What's missing from a lot of events is, okay, great, we've given you a lot of information, but we haven't necessarily told you directly how to apply it or tie it back. So that part I'm really excited about. And not only that, like how to tie it back, but what did everybody else get? What did everybody else learn? Because we're limited by the conversations that we have, the interactions and all the things that we see, just right here. and we can share what everybody else is learning and taking from it. That's part of what I'm excited about, is to hear what other people are learning that I might have missed.
Good point. I actually talked to Ashley before this and asked her what's like the one thing she's most excited about. And I told her she couldn't say s'mores because she's really into food. She's really going to like that stuff. But she said something I think I definitely agree with, is just the networking. And I feel like we're going to make real friendships here versus a big conference. You go to these sessions and you learn a lot, and there's like 15-minute networking breaks where you're like, hi, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Or this one, we're going to do hatchet throwing, and we're going to just really get to know people really in our specific industry. And it's small enough that we can actually make friendships that I think are going to last forever. It's going to be great.
I think, to your point, I think it is about leaning on each other, learning from each other, and understanding that we're in it is a small world when you think about recruitment marketing, employer and talent branding. That is a really small world. There are relatively very few people who have practical experience doing that. And so I feel like developing those relationships, number one, giving time to do that, but that's also going to help us continue to grow our careers long term. So that's why as we were designing the event, we wanted to say, okay, yes, all the knowledge is good, but the relationships are just as important, if not more. So we talked a little bit about your roundtable, the topic you're going to be facilitating, and super important to know that, like you're not going to be like standing up, at the podium and just presenting to everybody. It's all going to be an interactive conversation. What as you think about the whole event, besides the s'mores, what gets you the most excited?
Well, besides the relationships, because I know that's going to be key. I think just learning what works for other people, because it's so small. Ashley and I have tried a million things, and we know what works for us and what doesn't work for us, but it's hard to know what other people. Facebook groups help a little, because you can kind of say, I have this problem, and people will chip in, which is useful, but I want to know just little things that have worked on the day-to-day for other people and other teams, because everyone's a practitioner, everyone's doing it. What's working for you and what's not.
And it's so great that you're bringing someone on your team. So we understand that the success of a lot of people are individual contributors in these roles, and not everybody is lucky enough to build teams. And so as we grow, as we learn, as we add to our skill sets, as our careers progress, it's important for us to understand how to work with our bosses and how to make sure that they know what the ROI is. They know how it's calculated, what success looks like. So it's awesome that you're bringing Ashley from your team. And we're also offering what we're calling a BYOB discount for people to bring your own boss. So whether it's head of TA, head of HR, whatever that relationship is, so that they understand, hey, these are the things that are important, that matter to the company, and how does that relate to what you're learning, and so that they understand, and you have a really similar grasp on what the focus and this universe looks like. So I'm excited for that. We already have several people who have opted into the BYOB program. So I'm happy about that, because they're like, bosses want to learn too. Like, not everybody understands like what does success look like.
I feel so grateful that my director just gets it. When I actually was interviewing, I had to make sure that he was interested and he really got that before I would even consider the role. And he totally gets it, which makes me think I should hit him up and maybe he could do the BYOB.
Bring him if you can. And I think it's going to be an awesome couple of days. And I don't use the word awesome very often. In fact, I even wrote a blog post a long time ago that everything is not awesome. And it was shortly after the Lego movie came out. And because we kind of overuse the word awesome. We overuse awesome, cool, amazing, all these words that we try to build up and provide emphasis, to get attention, right? And I, based on the venue, based on all the activities, I am planning to be in awe of this community, and I'm so excited to be there, and I'm excited you're a part of it. What would you tell someone who's looking at the event and thinking, hey, this looks like a new thing. How should I think about this, and what should I tell my boss?
Well, it's funny because in our company, you get one conference that's completely paid. You get to choose, where you're going. And right away when I saw this one, I pinged Ashley and I was like, this is the one. You want to definitely look at this. I think this is the one to go to. So she watched your first live stream that was quite a ways back. And right after the live stream, she was like, yep, this is the one. Let's talk to Sean. This is the one I want. And then, of course, it worked out brilliantly that I get to go too. But I think it just depends on what you're looking for. But for this one, if you're looking to get to know people in our space, this is absolutely the one. There's so many other great conferences for learning. A lot of them are recruitment. So you're going to learn something about branding, but then you're going to learn a lot of other things. And if that's what you need, that's cool. But I love that this is so specific and the community of people. I can't wait to meet them all because they're all like people. I bet I know half of them through Facebook or Twitter or social media. I can't wait to actually meet these people and just create friendships. So it just depends on what you need. But I think for this, if you want to get to know this specific community, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I agree. It's the format is different, right? Because it's really, it's about collaboration, the roundtable experience, but also, spending time with people in the field. So awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Looking forward to it. Brian, anything else you want to cover before we sign off for the day?
Just a personal safety note, the s'mores will not be combined with the tomahawk throwing. So just in case the s'mores are safe to eat. I want to throw that out there.
And then we decided on the last event, or is that still to be determined?
We did actually. So we were visiting the venue, and one of the options that they had was an Iron Chef competition. So very specific things that we'll be preparing in teams, and so that's a very interactive, fun thing. Yes. And it's right at the end, and so we get to make some margaritas. We get to make a couple of other things. We all work together and put on our chef's hats.
That's gonna be so fun. Awesome. Good. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, great. And don't forget, again, like I said last time, early bird ends in 2 weeks.
March 1st.
So get in now before it goes up another $300. All right. Thank you so much, Audra.
Thank you. I can't wait. I'll see you in Austin.
Thanks, Audra.
Bye.